In this video, I'm going to be talking about 5 physical Nintendo Switch releases that you should keep an eye on because they might be rare and they could get much more expensive down the line. I'll also be talking about 2 games that I think you should avoid. How's it going, everyone? My name is Evan, and if you enjoy this video, I encourage you to hit the like button and press subscribe for more Nintendo Switch collecting, game discussion content just like this. My original goal for this year was to hit 1,000 subs, but you guys have been absolutely killing it. Thank you so much. So why not try for 2? Anyway, enough of that talk. Let's get right into it. So for this video, there's of course going to be speculation, but I try to make sure that there's data to back up each of my claims for all the games I'm about to talk about. I try to look for games that have been on a steady upward trend in terms of price over time, and one game that absolutely fits that criteria is Towerfall. Towerfall is a competitive party game centered on archery combat. Developed by the same indie devs who would go on to create Celeste a few years later, it was made for the Ouya of all things, and since then, Towerfall has made its way to several modern consoles, with a definitive version landing on Switch in 2018. This game has always been critically acclaimed, and for amazing reason. Towerfall is an absolute blast. Easily my favorite party game. Full stop. I've gotten pretty much all of my friends hooked into it, and it's so accessible. It won't take you long before you get a room of new players up to speed, and they'll be catching arrows in no time. The pace is fast, movement is crisp, and a full game of Last Man Standing will have people screaming at each other. It's awesome. But Towerfall's physical release came from limited run games, and really, it was readily available for a long time. I got it from a local game store, but for about 2 years, this game was not hard to come by on eBay or those limited run partner sites like Video Games Plus. But it looks like things have changed. Stock has dried up among retailers and on the secondhand market. Looking at price charting here, this is all complete in box for all of these charts. A complete copy of Towerfall will run you on average about $65 right now. That's in USD. You can see that ever since May of 2024, that price graph has been on a steady incline. But looking at eBay, there's a little bit of a different story going on. Things are pretty rough right now. Like I said, stock has been drying up, and I only found one non-collector's edition copy under $100 that was buried in one of those lot posts. Every other copy was at least $99.99 or higher. So if you're looking to grab Towerfall, now might be a perfect time to do it because I feel like some people are still behind the 8 ball on this one. I've seen this game out in the wild here and there, certainly less than I used to, of course, but even last month at the Long Island Retro Gaming Expo, I saw brand new copies for a decent bit under price charting, around the $45 to $50 mark. So keep your eyes peeled. You might be able to get a good deal on this one, and really, Towerfall is a great game worth having in your collection, and I recommend it to everybody watching. Up next, Doom Eternal, the follow-up to 2016 Doom reboot, and generally considered to be the best entry in id Software's reboot trilogy. The game's pedigree speaks for itself. It's one of the best first-person shooters ever released. I love Doom Eternal. It's so fast, fluid, perfect. But Doom Eternal on Switch has never been a common physical release by any means. Let me put that one out of the way. Originally meant for a retail release a few months after Eternal's originally launched in March of 2020, Bethesda canned the physical release a few months later that November. I'm sure there was something going on in 2020. You know what it was. I'm sure that had a big part in it. But in 2022, Limited Run stepped up to the plate and revived the physical release. This game has never been cheap. It was full priced when it was a pre-order on Limited Run site, and throughout 2024, it fluctuated from about $70 to $80. But since June of this year, there's been a bump in the price, bringing it to an average of just below $95 today. There's also another variant from Limited Run's Soho pop-up in New York. That's actually the copy I have, so this is an alternate box art. Otherwise, it's the same thing from the original release, the same cartridge, the same updates, the same manual inside. And from what I've gathered online, this is not a reprint. It was just a stash of variants that they originally ordered with the first print of the game, and they held on to sell it at a later date. It does carry a bit more value, around $125, so if you really like the artwork, yeah, you're gonna have to pay up a little bit. Over on eBay, I found less than 10 listings for non-collector's editions copies of Doom Eternal. All of them were way over price charting. We're trending around $150 here, and that is still going up. There's a couple sold listings, very recent, from that $150 mark, so people are paying up for this game. And now here's where I'm going to do a little bit of speculating. I think this game could go nuclear. I really do. This could be very expensive down the road. You see, Doom Eternal is a prime candidate for a Switch 2 upgrade. It'd be a major overhaul of the game. It's a miracle it runs on Switch anyway, but on Switch 2, it could be very close to that PC port. Any new physical release would likely be a Switch 2 edition, and keeping it real, just playing the numbers, there's a high possibility that it's a game key card. So I could see demand for a complete Switch copy of this game going through the roof. Again, this is a hypothetical, but this is well within the realm of possibilities. This scenario could definitely play out. In that case, Doom Eternal could see a huge price jump. Grab Doom Eternal while you can. Slipstream is an indie racing game which bills itself as an arcade-style racing game inspired by the spirit of the early 90s. In one sentence, it's like Outrun meets Initial D, which is a pretty awesome combination. The premise is simple: race to the end of each stage while drifting around the bends and watching out for cars. At the end of each level, there's branching pathways for the player to decide where to go next. It's Outrun. I've never played Slipstream before, but I like Outrun, and I do think I would be into this one. It looks pretty good. Gameplay looks like a hell of a fun time. The soundtrack seems like it really meets the moment here. Slipstream released back in 2018, but we didn't see a physical until earlier this year. It took a long time to get this game physically. And again, yes, this one is from Limited Run, but it's not a numbered release. This was one of their distribution line games, so it did get some run on other storefronts like Amazon. I'm not quite sure why LRG decided to pick this one up so late, but whatever the case, I have to think that it didn't sell well, or they didn't print that many copies at all. Price charting has the game at $75 for a complete in-box copy. Over on eBay, I counted just 7 listings, most of which were priced around $70, so a few bucks below price charting. There were 2 listings that you could call outliers at over $100, but I don't think you really count those into the equation here. So it appears Slipstream just fell super under the radar, and supply probably reflects demand. Not a ton. Before you get caught up on one of these $100 eBay listings that read something like Slipstream Rare Nintendo Switch Rare OOP out of print new sealed, at the time I'm recording this, VGP has copies in stock. It's about $50 Canadian or $36 USD. So go grab it if it's something that looks interesting to you. And this is not sponsored, of course, unless VGP, you want to give me a ring, I'm all ears. Okay, this next one gets me really fired up. I have walked by Proteus so many times. I've seen this physical, I feel like, everywhere. For what's felt like years, Proteus has been a staple in Wario64 tweets, always going on sale at GameStop or Amazon or basically any store that ever had it in stock ever. At its core, Proteus is a boomer shooter of the highest order, a love letter to games like Doom and Quake. I personally love boomer shooters. You'll be collecting key cards in maze-like levels, ripping your way through enemies, never ever reloading, and it's all topped off with this blocky graphical filter, which gives the game a distinctly PS1 aesthetic. Every review of Proteus I've ever seen has been positive, and it received a physical retail run in 2023 from Humble Games. No limited run this time around. But similarly to what happened with Humble's other release, Signalis, stock eventually dried up seemingly before our eyes. It was on sale and on shelves until there were no more copies to sell, and the game now commands a decent price. Checking out this price charting graph, you can see the spike starting in around February of this year, and we're currently going at a rate of $70 for a complete Switch copy. Compare that to the PS5 version, it's about half that price. And as is becoming the trend, eBay listings are few and more expensive than what's on price charting. So expect that average price to continue to climb. If there's any silver lining here, I do see Proteus as being the game most likely to get a reprint in this video. If you're waiting for this game to drop in price, I think this is one that could get a reprint. Signalis got a reprint. I think it's a wait and see situation with Proteus, maybe a little bit, but it's absolutely on an upward trend right now. If we don't get that reprint, it could go much higher. Finally, the last game I want to talk about is the Rose and Camellia collection, released by who else? Limited Run Games. To the viewer, I have this question for you. Have you ever heard of Rose and Camellia? I'm gonna guess no, and I wouldn't blame you for that, because last year when they announced this, I'm sure as hell didn't know what this game was. The Rose and Camellia collection is a compilation of 5 internet flash games originally released in Japan back in the early 2000s. Yeah, they're flash games, which is awesome. I wish we port more flash games. I feel like it's a lost art. I grew up on these things, and some of them were so good and so high quality. But in these games, you play as members of this high-class Victorian family that can just never get along. It's part visual novel, like the Ace Attorney games, and eventually shit does hit the fan. But instead of a courtroom, these ladies just slap the hell out of each other, and it's absolutely hilarious. Hell, Even the cover art for this collector's edition is giving me big Ace Attorney vibes. But this game is absurd, and I've had so many chances to grab it, and I have failed every single time. But the reason I put it on this list is because Rose and Camellia is such an absurdly niche title, and I think that's the factor that will end up driving its value down the line. Right now, there's a decent amount of listings on eBay ranging from about $50 to $60-ish, which is right around this $55 valuation on price charting. There's also an Asian import version, which goes for around the same price. But speculating again, I just think this game is so niche, a collection of Flash games from Japan that gets ported to Switch. I'm just putting a little watch out for this game. I really do think it could hold some value down the line. It's flying way under the radar, and it's the final game I think you should watch on this list for this video today. And now for my games to avoid. I don't think you should grab these physical copies of this game, and there's a big reason why. Turok 1 and 2 are N64 classics. First-person shooters of really fun proportion. I have played Turok 3, not 1 and 2, but I really enjoyed that. These are classic style first-person shooters, very linear, very enjoyable. I had a good time playing through 3. You should play them. 1 and 2 both got remasters from Night Dive Studios, and both of them got physical releases from LRG, and they did end up on store shelves. LRG had a partnership with Best Buy during this time, and so yes, they did get wide releases. But over time, they ran out of print, and they got expensive. Turok 1 was fetching nearly $100 at one point, and Turok 2 was around the $70 mark. But looking at price charting, both of these games are on a steady decline because people are offloading. There's a new 3-in-1 trilogy bundle cartridge that is coming out, similar to that Octopath Traveler duo pack, but this is have Turok 1, 2, and 3 on the cartridge, presumably all with the newest updates too. It is going to be only $40, which is a great deal, and I'm probably going to pick this one up. But yes, there are going to be people offloading Turok 1 and 2 at a low price. Price has been really going down on both of these games. So if you didn't know this, avoid these games. Get the bundle pack, unless you really want to take up 3 spaces on your shelf. So avoid Turok 1 and 2 really right now because we don't know how low they're going to go. Bundle pack comes out on October 31st, and we won't know what the true value of these standalone releases will be until a few months after that. Anyway, guys, that's all I really have for this video. If you enjoyed, hit the like button and subscribe if you have not already. A lot more game collecting content, fun Nintendo discussions, and more are coming in the future. We're still growing. This community is growing, and it's been a ton of fun so far. For all of my Switch collectors watching, leave me a comment. What games do you think will be rare down the line? What are you targeting right now? And what is your most prized possession in your Switch collection? Leave me a comment down below, and until the next one, guys, take it easy.